Welcome to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast, your guide to future tech trends and innovation in a language you understand. Now, over to your host, Neil Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. Now, we've all heard of the gig economy, right? But there is something else that I'm reading more and more about at the moment, and that is the skill economy. Because people are essentially taking their skills and earning a great living from doing it. And they do this by charging for the completion of a task. So a business needs something doing. They need help with a project, for example. They turn to the person with the adequate skills. They complete the task. They get paid. Makes perfect sense. Yet why are almost all businesses paying staff by the hour to sit looking at a clock, maybe watching YouTube or listening to the Joe Rogan podcast on their headphones, pretending to work, rather than completing a task? And this is where I discovered a company called Jyve, who are building what they call the future of work. And I'm really excited to get today's guest on the show because she's so passionate about her work. And Anu Gupta has spent more than 20 years cutting her teeth in the worlds of retail, technology and private equity organisations. And currently, Anu serves as the COO of Jyve, the leading platform for in-store flexible and skilled labour. Prior to Jyve, she was the Senior Vice President of the Strategy Execution and Operational Excellence at Target. And before that, she's also served as a Senior Executive at Hellman and Friedman Michaels, Safeway and HCL Technologies. And HCL Technologies have been on this show a couple of times, especially I particularly enjoyed the interview with how they're working with Manchester United and the digital transformation of that. If you've not heard it, that's an episode I advise you go back and listen. It was a great one. And Anu was also named in Fortune's Most Powerful Women Next Gen list of 2016 and 2017. And an absolute joy to speak with. So buckle up and hold on tight so I can beam your ears all the way to San Francisco so we can speak with Anu Gupta, COO of Jyve. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell the listeners a little more about who you are and what you do?
Hi, Neil. Great to meet you, and thank you for the opportunity. I'm Anu Gupta and the Chief Operating Officer of Jyve. Prior to Jyve, I was the Senior Vice President of Strategy Execution and Operational Excellence at Target. Across 25 plus years of driving P&L results in retail, private equity, and technology, I have been fascinated with getting things in organizations from point A to point B. So I've straddled the full swath from strategy to operations, and there are three things that are core to me. I love transformations, big and small. I love understanding the voice of the customer, their emotional and functional needs, and how these learnings can truly enable organizations to meet the customer where they want to be met. I love getting alternate voices, points of view. I believe in people, in doing the right thing and staying curious. And at Jyve, our operations follow these same principles that are core to me.
Wow, man, that is my kind of language. I absolutely love everything that you just said there. And I am genuinely excited to get you on because, like you said, you've more than 20 years cutting your teeth in the worlds of retail, technology, and private equity organizations. So I've got to start by asking, what are the biggest lessons that you've learned along the way?
One of my biggest lessons is, despite the fact that change is a universal constant, it is fascinating how so many executives, especially in retail, are resistant to meaningful change. And I think that there are two psychological reasons for this change resistance, especially with senior executives with decades of retail experience. And the first reason is that nothing is more persuasive to anyone than their own personal experience. And when an executive has seen a specific tactic work successfully thousands of times, it is hard for anyone to convince that executive that the tactic will no longer work in the current environment. And the second reason is far more problematic. Even if the executive starts to buy into the argument that the environment has radically changed and that new tactics are needed, there will still be resistance. And why? Because if that executive fully embraces the implications of the environment, changes, it means that a massive chunk of their experience is now not really relevant. It means that the biggest attribute that sets that executive apart, namely their own experience, will now be sharply devalued. And I think psychologically that reduces somebody's feeling of self-worth. And these are all some of the elements that I have seen play out years after years and organizations after organizations. And I also think that is precisely why just about every major business change over the last 50 years has come mostly from the startup ecosystem and not from big incumbent players.
That incredibly revealing insights that you shared there. And straight away, it's woken up my curiosity here. I mean, during your career, when you encountered these industry pain points, was it those experiences that inspired you to go on to create Jyve?
A lot of it played into it, Neil. And I think that, retailers and brands ultimately are trying to re-envision customer service. And customer service is critical, particularly in the wake of disruption from the likes of Amazon and other digital natives. And particularly, I think, with grocers and big box retailers. So it's about the simple expectations of customers that define both the in-store and online experience. And I mean, if you take the all-important holiday season, retention of store team members is way down. Holidays are serviced by temporary associates who probably know the least about store standards and operations. And as a retailer or a brand, you're at risk of dropping the ball at the most important time of the year. So Jyve takes all of those elements into consideration and is set up to deliver on customer service for the store through the underpinnings of all these building block issues that I think retailers and both brands face, which is personnel turnover, staff education, productivity, and better customer service is what a retailer and brand wants. And across my experiences, whether this is Target, Safeway, Michaels, any others, all have struggled with these building block issues.
So for people that are tuning in and hearing about Jyve and our conversation about Jyve for the very first time, can you tell me a little bit more about exactly what Jyve is and what problems you solve with it?
Sure. Jyve is a skills as a service labor platform to enable in-store and e-commerce execution needs. So Jyve solves the staffing and quality of execution problem that is faced by everyone in the industry, and especially this industry, which has a 70% turnover rate. And our network, this is Jyve's network, offers brands, retailers, and grocers fast access to skilled Jyvers who are eager and certified to handle roles ranging from on-shelf merchandising to ordering and picking and packing for e-commerce needs, all helping with driving a greater on-shelf, in-store, or e-commerce experience for the customer.
So the platform uses machine learning to intelligently match businesses in-store execution needs with the right skilled labour Jyvers to the needs of the retailer, but at the right time. So can you tell me more about the role of machine learning in this and what it enables you to do that hasn't been possible until now?
Neil, I think machine learning is a fancy word. At the core, it is the ability that enables large data sets to see pattern recognition and then what deviates from the pattern. So at the end of the day, it's pattern recognition and deviation. So let me give you an example. When a Jyver completes a Jyve and takes pictures in our app of the finished end cap or shelf, the pictures are run through our machine learning engine to flag through pattern recognition if the tags are all front-facing or is the job sloppy, a deviation, which then leads us to correcting it and driving up the quality of execution. So that is one example of how we're leveraging technology and data at both the micro and the macro level.
And another side of Jyve that particularly appeals to me, of course, is that it also improves work for Jyvers. So can you tell me a little bit more about how it allows them to grow in their careers and also rise to those new challenges in different workplaces too?
For Jyvers, the Jyve model is really appropriate for the workforce of 2019. They like to telecommute, work remote, have flexibility, predictability, consistency at times, work-life balance, decide what hours they want to work or not work. And it's a perfect way, in a way that accommodates the most important person, and that is you. Jyvers can get more certification, that leads to more skills, that leads to more Jyves if they choose to. More Jyves is a way of growing skills, earning more, and growing career.
And something else that really stood out for me was the ability to make payments by task, not by the hour, which is so refreshing to hear. So was that the direct result of the emergence of the gig economy? Because I'm also curious, are you seeing a move away from traditional pay by the hour methods to that more efficient, which much more efficient by task basis?
So, on whether this was a direct result of the emergence of the gig economy, the answer is no.
Yeah.
So we want all sides to work well in our model, be it the retailers, brands, and Jyvers, and they all do. So we looked at retail needs, brand needs, retail talent, Jyver needs, the skills that retailers and brands want, the skills that Jyvers want, and this strikes the right balance between it all. So gig economy rewards what is beneficial, and it plays into what we offer, but paying by hour, exactly as you noted, does not work well in any model. And we have multiple goals. We want the Jyver to do more work, earn more. We also want fast work and ensure quality controls are in place for great execution. So a Jyver who can work really well and do better work and faster work should be paid for the task and not have to wait for an hour to earn for the work that they've already done. So if they deliver continually, there are more Jyves, better pay, more earnings, all three win, and it's a win-win for all.
Everybody's a winner, right?
Yes, absolutely. That's how I think about it. And on the second part of your question, Neil, on the move away from traditional pay methods, that is an interesting question. So I look at it, there are two elements in the way I look at it. Am I seeing that happen right now? No. Industry has decades of acquired learning, and that will take a long time to shake out, really long. But I also think that it will go that way. It is a more equitable way of compensating people, so we will see a progression leading to this kind of a method and model.
So if we zoom out for a moment and look at everything that we've talked about this afternoon, how is Jyve's technology helping enable retailers to expand their labour capacity while minimising costs and mitigating the impact of turnover rates and essentially making it easier for in-store employees to succeed?
It's all that and more. It all comes down. It all comes down to elevating the customer experience through alleviating these building block issues of labor, turnover, and productivity, where the retailer, the brand, the Jyver, the platform, everyone all succeeds.
And what's next then for Jyve? And how do you see it continuing to evolve? Because that seems to be the secret to any business now, doesn't it? You don't stand still in one place for too long. You've got to continuously improve and evolve too.
Yep, absolutely. I think massive structural changes will not happen overnight. I think if we look down maybe 5-10 years, Jyve will continue to be pushing the technology as far as it can, help companies find a way to make what they need to happen. And whether it's technology that leverages the use of GPS to track inventory or to see what stores are doing and needing, or if 80 customers are walking into a store, do they have one product that they all need to be in stock on the shelf, not in the back room? So it's real-time inventory to the level that no one is doing today, for example. And I'm looking forward eagerly to this evolution and so thrilled to be a part of it.
Fantastic. And it's a journey that I'm going to be monitoring from the outside looking in as well. I'd love to stay in touch with you. and get you back on the show at some point. But before I do let you go, though, can I ask that you remind the listeners of where they can find out more information about Jyve? And if they did want to ask a member of your team any additional questions after listening to our conversation, what's the best way of doing that?
We'd love to have any dialogue, discussion, questions, clarifications, and any feedback as well. So it'll be great to hear from them. I can be reached at Anu, ANU, at Jyve.com. I can also be found on LinkedIn as Anu Gupta. They can also contact us online at www.jyve.com, and would love to hear from anyone.
Excellent. Well, I'll add the links to the blog post that will accompany this podcast. So anybody listening can just go across to techblogwriter.co.uk and they can find those links nice and easily. So, and hopefully they will reach out to you and start those conversations. But I've really enjoyed having you on the show today, and in particular for highlighting that machine learning is just a shiny buzzword, and underneath it, it's pattern recognition and deviation. It's so refreshing to hear that little reality check there. So a big thank you for coming on and sharing your story with me today.
Thank you, Neil, for the opportunity and a fabulous discussion. Thank you.
Throughout Anu's career, she's learned firsthand of the massive pain points impacting the retail industry. For example, $252.5 billion is lost annually due to the lack of access to labour that is skilled and certified to effectively and quickly meet in-store execution and needs. And led by a deep experience in retail and technology and problem solving, Jyve is now solving the main pain point for retailers by creating a first of its kind skills as a service platform. But what really stood out for me was the whole concept of payment by task, not by the hour. Because it's like allowing Jyvers to know how much they will make each day and maybe even make more if they can complete jobs more efficiently. And this got me thinking, why do we have people sitting at the same desk or workstation for 20 years clock watching until they go home? When payment by task, not the hour, is something that could appeal to both parties. And that concept alone really intrigued me. But what are your thoughts? I suspect you'll have quite a few pros and quite a few cons too, but that's good. I just want you to encourage and share those insights and everything that you thought about today's interview and share that with everybody listening. And you can do that by emailing me, techblogwriter@outlook.com, or you can pop by my website, techblogwriter.co.uk. So a big thank you for Anu for cheering me up today with her infectious enthusiasm. But I'm going to walk off into the sunset now until it's time to return tomorrow with another episode. So a big thank you for listening. And until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thanks for listening to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. Until next time, remember, technology is best when it brings people together.